An increase of violence occurred in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict starting early September 2015, known as the Wave of Terror or Intifada of the individuals by Israelis, of the Knife Intifada or Stabbing Intifada by international media, or Habba by Palestinian, related in part to tensions between Palestinians and Israelis regarding the status of the Temple Mount. A major escalation occurred on the 1st of October 2015 with the killing of Eitam and Na'ama Henkin by Hamas militants near Beit Furik on the 1st of October, followed by a wave of lone wolf attacks and widespread protests by Palestinians. Some Palestinians attribute the beginning of violence to the killing of Palestinian woman Hadeel al-Hashlamoun by Israeli soldiers on the 22nd of September, or the Duma arson attack by Israeli settlers in July 2015, which caused the death of 3 Palestinians. In January, the Shin Bet have recorded only 169 incidents, the lowest since July 2015, leading to claims that the escalation had finished, but casualties and Palestinian protests have continued until today. 17 Israeli civilians and 1 U.S. national were killed by Palestinians from October to December 2016, while 130 Palestinians were killed over the same period. By February 22, 2016, a total of 217 Israeli casualties have been attributed to the violence. 30 people have been killed by Palestinian attacks, 22 of those deaths occurring in the West Bank and 8 within Israel. As of mid-August 2016, 217 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces. Some commentators have attributed the increase in Palestinian violence against Israelis either to a viral social media campaign that may have influenced and motivated the Palestinian attackers, or ongoing frustration over the failure of peace talks to end the decades-long occupation and the suppression of human rights. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has been accused of incitement to violence. The Israeli mayor of Jerusalem, near Barkat, encouraged licensed gun owners to carry their weapons to increase security. Background. Opinions within Israel differ as to the reasons for the cycle of violence. Several generals Israeli Defense Forces have gone on public record as stating that to a notable degree Palestinian violence is impelled due to anger at and revenge for Israeli actions, and that frustrations over the stagnation of diplomatic initiatives also contribute. A report by Israeli intelligence services states that the unrest is motivated by Palestinian feelings of national, economic and personal deprivation. Quote, some also pointed out to the increasing incitement and involvement of the Islamic State group in regard to Palestinian youth, with Islamic State cell members arrested in the West Bank already in January 2015. On the 31st of July 2015, 2 family homes in Duma, a Palestinian village in the West Bank, were firebombed by masked attackers. 18-month-old Ali Saadi Dawabsha was burned to death. His parents and 4-year-old brother were critically injured and rushed to Israeli hospitals, where the father died of his burns several days later. 5 weeks later, the mother, Reham Dawabsha, died of her injuries. Israeli police initially suspected that the arson was a price tag attack by extremist Israeli settlers. Some speculated that it might have been undertaken in retaliation for the demolition by the IDF of Jewish settlement structures in Beitel, the flagship of the ideological settler movement. Sometime earlier, Palestinians responded to the arson began with large protests that resulted in violent confrontation with the Israeli forces. On the 9th of September 2015, Israel outlawed two grassroots Palestinian Islamist groups, Militants and Militants, involved in aggressive protests at Temple Mount against visits by Jewish groups such as the Temple Mount Faithfuls and the Temple Institute. Israeli police enforce exclusively Muslim prayer at the site in line with halakhic prohibition, and visits to the site by Jewish campaigners have led to clashes with Militants and Militant activists. Defense Minister Moshe Ya'alon, who signed the ban, said in a statement that the militants and Militant are a main cause in the creation of tension and violence on the Temple Mount, specifically, and Jerusalem in general. The Palestinian Authority opposed this ban and signaled support for the activists. According to The Guardian, many analysts regard the issue of access to what is known to Muslims as al-Haram al-Sharif, or the noble sanctuary, and to Jews as the Temple Mount, as key to the recent increase in tension. A campaign by some fundamentalist Jews and their supporters, with the backing of some members of the Israeli cabinet, demanding greater rights for Jewish worship at the site, has raised the suspicion, despite repeated Israeli denials, that Israel intends to change the precarious status quo at the site.